Okay, make sure you push that red button.
It is pushed, or at least it was pushed. I should check it again real quick just to make sure.
Okay.
There you go. Yes, it says recording. So if I screw up, it's not my fault. How's, how's that for a great political statement? If I screw up, it's not my fault.
That'll work.
Welcome to the GM's Corner, a Brewster Baseball Association podcast where we put general managers on the hot seat and try to steal all of their best secrets. Of course, sometime along the way there, then I edit them all out so I keep them for myself, because that way I get to win more. I am Ron Collins, the general manager of the Yellow Springs Nine, and today I've got a special treat. I've got James Walker, the GM of the Hawaii Tropics, here with me. I think James stepped into the Tropics seat this offseason. Is that right, James? Right after guiding Istanbul to the Umibas United Cup for its first ever playoff appearance and its
Yeah.
first ever championship. That was your transition period, right?
Yes.
I'm as Yellow Springs 9 general manager who goes to the playoffs multiple times and never wins. I just cannot possibly fathom what it's like to go to the playoff once and then win it at the same time. How does that work?
I got really lucky. That's all.
I like you more and more because then that means that it's all me being unlucky.
That's right.
It's not my fault. Where have I heard that before? Well, James, maybe we could start. You could give us a little bit of background about who James Walker is. You're relatively new within the BBA community, and give us an idea of where you're from and what do you do, and
Well, I'm from El Paso, Texas. I was born and raised here. I joined the military at a young age and went across all over the place around the world. And then I got out of the military and I became a United States Border Patrol agent. And I spent over 20 years in the Border Patrol. Retired last year. And I don't do anything now. I do whatever I want to do. I play this game constantly and just have fun with people. It's a good time.
I like that. What is your strongest memory about a place that you've been at, traveling with the military? What was your most interesting assignment?
Probably working in Panama and Colombia. Those were the two most exciting and wild places I've ever been to.
Well, what made them exciting and wild? If I
Uh,
can pry so deeply,
being in the jungle,
I bet that would be very interesting.
yes, you can get some weird things happening to you.
Like all the panthers and the mambas, asps, and rain and all that other good stuff.
The wildlife and everything. It's nuts.
Well, you mentioned spending a lot of time talking about this game. It feels like from your entry into the BBA, I mean, obviously you're new to the BBA, but it feels like you have quite a bit of out of the park experience. What is your background with the game? How did you find it, and how did you find the BBA?
Well, I used to play years ago. I played fantasy baseball and other sports, and I kind of got irritated with it. A lot of cheaters and people coming in owning a lot of teams and trading with themselves, and it got annoying. Then this kid came in on a website and opened up a OOTP league, and I didn't know what it was. Looked it up, joined it, and then I found out he was a cheater too. So
You can
I
cheat everywhere, I suppose.
all right. So then I said, you know what? Let me go check this out some more. And I went right to the forums, and I had already owned the game and found other leagues. And I joined the POTD. I don't know if you heard of the Pioneers of the Diamond.
I have heard of it.
All right. I joined that league, and I'm still in that league today. That was what 5, 6 years ago, and started playing there, and it just expanded from there.
So how many leagues do you play in?
Right now, 8.
Oh my goodness.
That yeah, I'm a little crazy with it.
See, that just totally blows my mind because when I first started in Out of the Park, I did make an attempt to juggle multiple leagues. But for my personality set, which I think is weird for the general public of OOTP online folks, I just almost can't get satisfaction out of playing just one or playing multiple leagues. I need to play one league and make it become so real to me that it boils into my bone marrow, right? And as soon as
Right.
I start splitting out into multiple leagues, my brain starts going haywire. So the idea of being able to play in 8 leagues and keep them separate is just like foreign to my brain set. So how did you find the BBA?
Well, I found the BBA on the forums, and it was just I guess the immensity of it, how big of a thing it was with the stories and the media guide just blew me away. I first saw it maybe in 2015, and that just blew me away with everything that was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go and I would read stuff, and I knew it was there, and I'd always watch it from afar, but I say, well, maybe one day, and then one day I did. I joined.
So what was the toggle?
Uh, I don't know. Maybe because I had more time on my hands. I said, you know what? It's time to do it.
That makes
And
sense.
we didn't have any. I didn't have another writing league like we had with our with my previous league. We wrote in that one, and I kind of miss that. Even though I'm a rank amateur, I'm horrible at it, but I like to have fun with it and just write stupid shit.
Well, I think that's actually the key to all writing when it comes right down to it. I mean, if you end up being, obviously, I am a writer, and so there's a certain level of whatever associated with that, right? But at the end of the day, the only thing that really sets your writing apart, no matter what you're doing, is whether you're having fun with it, I believe. I fully believe this to my heart. So as long as you're having fun with it, it doesn't matter what your skill set is. That fun will come through, and it will be fun to read. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So compare all of your other leagues in the BBA. How are we similar in your mindset to other leagues, and where do we? Is it all writing, and is our difference in the writing aspect of it, or do we have other things that are equivalent in different? I will eventually get a reasonable question out if I just keep rambling long enough. You get the gist.
Yeah, I think this league, similarly, the style of gameplay that every GM has is that I think that flows from league to league. But what sets this league apart is the creativity. Uh, Guys making polls, making the food thing that's going on right now is just you don't see that in other leagues.
Isn't
The
that awesome?
It is. It is. I jumped on it as soon as I saw it. I said, "I'm gonna jump on this shit." Uh, the uh, the uh, the podcast, the amount of podcasts in this league is just way above everybody else's in the other league. It's just like I said, the creativity sets this league apart.
Yeah, I like that. And the ballpark thing, I love that this morning, I guess, or last night, when all my days are running together here, James. I just don't. Um, all this quarantine stuff and the massive things. Whatever day it was, I just riffed off of Joe's ballpark thing because he used his ballpark thing to write a team news about his fans suddenly puking on his crunch burgers, and I thought, well, I got to do something with that. So now I'm waiting to see what the responses are going to be from some of the other guys. So, um, yeah, I appreciate that. I think that is an interesting concept because I hadn't really. I agree with you 100%, but hadn't thought about it that aspect, the raw creativity people bring to this. The meme of the day, and Mike's doing his vizzes, and everyone has their thing that they roll off on. Sean Marco's dry wit in some of what he does, and Alan Ehlers was doing things like that, although he's gotten a bit sidetracked here recently. It's a fun little league that way. So, you came through Istanbul to Hawaii, and I've had the opportunity now to chat with several of the UMEBA GMs, both in the UMEBA right now and having made the transition. And I'm starting to get to a point where I'm asking a standard question about how hard was it for you to decide to leave Istanbul in this particular case, and move into the BBA? Was that anything that did you struggle over that decision at all, or was that always kind of a preordained thing for you?
Oh, when Matt asked me, I was like, hell yeah. You want Hawaii? Hell yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, but in a way though, I did get attached. I'm still kind of attached to Istanbul. I got attached to those players, writing about them, and just over that short period of time, and I am still kind of attached to that team.
What is a classic James Walker team? How are you going to work toward making the tropics yours? And what's your preferred brand of baseball?
Well, I like uh, contact hitters. I like they don't have to be power. I can any brand as long as I can hit the ball, get on base, and hit the ball. Pitching wise, I like the movement guys. I'm one of those movement guys. But most of my teams are crappy, so I'm up and down. I've won in a few leagues. It's just I'm up and down. I believe in drafting and developing players and then kind of signing some guys to fill in the gaps. I really don't like to trade unless I have to, and I think with this Hawaii team right now, I'm going to have to make a trade.
How so? What do you think your holes are? What are you going to be trying to work on?
I need some offense. I gotta help my pitching staff out. I mean, they're all right. They're in the middle third of in pitching, but they're in the bottom third of hitting, and I need to improve that.
So what are as you're looking around, how do you go about trying to find a trade?
Well, usually with the tropics, I have good pitching, so everybody wants that. So they actually come to me. So I've had a few offers, and I'm thinking about them. I still have plenty of time right now, but once that trade deadline comes, I'm going to have to make a move. Right now, I have to talk myself into it because I'm not a big trader, and I end up talking myself out of it to my detriment, but I have to talk myself into it.
Yeah, I think you're in an interesting situation there in Hawaii because in the weaker Pacific Division, that 22 and 26 record that you've got is sitting at third place on the edge of a wild card. So I'm very, very interested to see what you're going to do with that team in the next year and 2 and 3 years, because that feels like you're right on this. I guess I'm looking for your reaction to this. It feels like you're right on this fulcrum point of being able to leverage into a powerhouse in the Pacific. I'm not sure where to go to make it happen.
Right.
So, what is your reaction to that basic position?
Oh yeah. I think you're right. I mean, it's this team is at a tipping point. It has been probably for the last 2 seasons, maybe even 3, because he's been around little 2 games over 500 the last two seasons. So this team's at that tipping point right now. He's got a great right fielder in Campbell here. I found that rookie that was down in AAA, and he looked like he was ready, so I brought him up. His name is I call him Doki Sothout. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the center fielder. I brought him up. There's some good players. I'm just streaming those, platooning my catchers, trying to get the most out of them as I can, because that's my weak point is offense behind the plate.
What is your preferred, I guess, kind of style of organization? Do you prefer a team that is kind of always on the edge if you had your choice, right, between the two? You have a team that is always on the edge of contention and able to compete consistently, or are you kind of more of a boom and bust guy looking for your window and trying to drive to the top, willing to realize that you have to fall fallow for a few years to rebuild after that? How do you like to play the game that way?
I'd rather be in contention all the time and make a smaller move that I can see where my weakness is on my team and fill that hole, than to be a complete boom or a bust team. Because of a bust team, you're gonna have to fill all your holes. Well, that sounded nasty. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to fill all the holes, and you have to do it by different ways. Usually just through the draft and and build that way. I'd rather be a steady Eddie.
I always think that's interesting because you can see the differences in general managers in this league and in some of the other really long-running leagues. You can see them actually play out, right? Some of the smaller and quicker leagues, it seems like with lots of turnover, you don't really get a flavor for that. But you can definitely see differences in the way GMs go about things once they're in a league for 3, 5, 10 years, right?
Right.
So that's always interesting. Let me put you in the traditional lightning round, right? I'm gonna throw you in a corner and shine bright lights in your eyes and make you spout off all these very important answers to very important questions. Jaywalk 100. What is the root of Jaywalk 100? What does that mean?
Well, it was the first screen name I used on ESPN in the fantasy leagues, so I just stuck with it out of keeping things the same.
There you go. And so 100 is just a number.
Yeah, because Jaywalk 1 didn't work, 10 didn't work, so 100 worked, and I said, fuck it, it's 100.
There you go. What are your favorite sports? What do you like to focus on?
Oh, I love baseball, but I also love my Dallas Cowboys.
There you go.
Sorry,
Hey,
non-Cowboy fans, but and
hey, guy in
that's
Texas, you gotta follow somebody who's close, right?
well, Dallas and El Paso's about 600 miles away from each other,
Yeah,
so
but in Texas, that's like just across the street, right?
yeah, that's a day and a half drive. So
That's a big ass state right there. That's all
yeah,
I got
it's
to say.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But you actually were born and raised and grew up and everything in Texas, so you're comfortable with that.
Oh yeah.
Um, Other than the Cowboys, baseball, what are your favorite teams? Who are your baseball teams?
Well, I'm an Astros fan. I know
Hmm.
some people are going to hate that, but I am an Astros fan. I went to my first game when I was probably 10 years old in the Astrodome, and I watched. I don't know if anybody will know this guy, Doug Rader,
Oh my,
hit a
yes.
walk hit a walk off home run against the Cincinnati Reds.
No, I've always enjoyed watching the Astros. In my old I played in fantasy leagues too back when men were men and you had to do all the stats yourself and stuff. And my uh, pet hatred right now is not right now, but ever since then has been a kid named Gerald Young, who was this super speedy
Oh yeah.
guy who was supposed to steal like 700 bases a year and just flat out couldn't hit. Um, but I'd keep him on my team for like 2 or 3 years, just waiting for that day that he was going to learn how to hit and then steal 700 bases. But unfortunately, that never happened. So, hey,
All right.
I've got another question there around Astros. My understanding is that every season ticket comes with a free garbage can to Astros fans. Is that true?
I don't know about that, but it might be true.
Alrighty. How many crappy catchers will it take for you to trade Alaric Woolenberger to me?
uh, two more than I already have, so four crappy catchers. So two added to the two I already have.
Oh, okay. I've got those, so we'll make that deal offline here, and we'll post it here really shortly. Um, Out of the park pitching. How do you analyze a pitcher? How do you weight the ratings? What do you look for? You said you're a movement guy, but I mean, there's a bunch of different ratings that go into a pitcher. How do you kind of segment things out? If two pitchers are of equal movement, um, which ones do you want?
Well, I'm gonna tell you a secret,
Well, that's the whole idea of this
but
podcast.
this has to be wiped clean.
I will definitely wipe it completely clean. It's just between you and me.
I have spreadsheets
Oh, I like you already.
with formulas, and when the draft comes out, I plug those. I have the whole. I just set up my screen to the everything I want, stats and potentials, and I plug it into the formula and spreadsheet and let it go do its work. That's how I can manage all these teams at once because I use spreadsheets.
I like that. So let's go down the next level of depth in those formulas and weightings and stuff. What are the things that you weight on pitchers? What do you care about?
Well, it'll be little things like let me open one up so I can give you an example. I'll look for like their role. If their role will be a starter or a relief pitcher, that'll determine on how many pitches they have. I will look at their pitch. So if they have 3 pitches, they'll get a good score. The more pitches they have, the higher the score. But that'll also go off of the pitch rating. It's
There you go.
it's kind of complicated. And then also on top of that will come, I call it risk. And that's with their work ethic and with their loyalty and injury risk. Injury goes into that. Their competition level goes into that, and everything is scored.
Very cool.
And I'll look at their repertoire, their stamina, hold runners, their velocity, their movement, their stuff, and their control. And I can change those variables in my spreadsheet and come up with what I want.
Do you separate out by pitch type? I mean, cutter, forkball, sinker. Do you have preferences over pitch types?
Yes, I do. I put that all in the form because it'll come out with it has a fastball potential, changeup potential, curveball potential, slider, split, sinker, cutter, circle change, all of them, knuckleball,
Very cool.
knuckle curve, and it just breaks them all down into what they're good at.
Alrighty, last question in the extremely painful lightning round. What is your favorite time at a ballpark anytime, and why is it your favorite?
First pitch, because that starts the game.
I like that.
I love the first pitch. I'm a season ticket holder for the El Paso Chihuahuas, the Padres AAA team, and we don't miss a game. We go every night. Yesterday was supposed to be opening day, but with our situation now, nobody can go. Right. So, but that's my favorite part.
Yeah,
first pitch.
AAA baseball is like perhaps the best experience in baseball that there is. The games are generally cheap enough, and the play is good, and the ballparks are small and intimate, and the food is good. I spent many hours in both Louisville and Indianapolis at the AAA games there. So yeah, if we had a team here semi close by in Oro Valley / Tucson, I would be spending a lot of my time at parks. So I'm jealous of you.
Oh, that's where the Chihuahuas came from, was Tucson.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they left Tucson and moved here in 2014.
There you go. Alrighty, well, you have successfully navigated the lightning round. It is usual that I kind of shut up and let you ask any questions you would like to ask of me if you have any. Otherwise, we'll move right on. So, you have anything you would like me to talk about?
Why haven't you won a Landis?
Because I suck.
That can't happen. If you're good enough to get there, there's something going on. Is it a mental block or what is it?
Well, in order to have a mental block, you have to be mentally there, I would think. I don't know, James. I mean, yeah, it's annoying.
I can see that because if I see as much as you've been there, it's like, wow, what in the world is going on?
Well, it's getting to the most difficult part is that of all the difficult parts, the most difficult part is in each of the 3 times that I've actually made it to the Landis round, Each time I've ended up getting to essentially the next. I made it to the next to last game the first time, and I think if I remember right, I was down 4-0, and then or 3-1 or something like that, and made it into game six and lost that in a dramatic fashion, and then the next year I made it to game seven and literally was like 4 outs away from winning the Landis when Bertram goddamn Hahn hit a home run that gave Jacksonville my ring. And then this last time taking a 3-2 lead back home to Yellow Springs and only to be swept by Chris and Edmonton. It's like not only do we lose, but we get to the point where you can dangle the fruit right in front of all my fans, and then fate squashes it. So I don't know. I don't know. It is a question for the ages, and I just have to assume that it's that we want it too much. And so the fates are continually dashing. We are the Charlie Brown in the football of peanuts, you know.
Right, right. And Lucy is everybody else.
Yeah, and Lucy is everybody is pick and place any other team that you want in there. Right now, I'm ready to punch Louisville right in the eyes. That team has always been my nemesis ever since the Stew days, and now we've got Stephen Shaw, who's a online league buddy of mine, giving me nothing but hell. So um, I don't know. You tell me why I can't win a Landis, and I'll go with it.
Well, it's just the way OOTP is sometimes. I mean, it does some funny stuff. You'll have somebody that'll dominate all year. They'll have 106, 110 wins in the season and get knocked out by the wild card team.
There you
It's
go.
just the way this crazy game is.
And I mean, that's in reality. There's baseball teams, or there's real, and that's real life. That happens, right?
Yeah, look at Seattle back when they had what is it, 100 and what, 16 games
Oh yeah,
won.
yeah. And for years, Atlanta was a team that was very much like what Yellow Springs is going through, always chugging along the playoffs and never making it until they finally won one. So, knock on
Right.
wood, maybe we'll win one someday. And now that I've said that out loud, of course, now we won't win at all because that's just how it goes. I don't know. We may not even make the playoffs this year the way this last sim went. I'm very disappointed.
Well, it's still a little early yet, but it's getting late being early.
There you go.
It's starting to get into the middle part of the season where it's not early anymore.
There you go. Well, maybe that's a way to move toward the wrapping this one up. Let's talk about Hawaii for just a moment. 22 and 26. What, your second or third, I think, in the Pacific.
Yes.
Give me a prediction. Where will Hawaii wind up? Or are we going to see Hawaii in the playoffs this year?
Right now, I'm thinking, keeping my fingers crossed for a wild card, but I can see it staying the way it is, just being out, or I can see everybody else collapsing and Hawaii just keep on chugging along. I mean, I could get a win streak here coming and turn everything around. So right now, I'm juggling a few things, moving players around, trying to figure something out, but I'm also thinking on maybe I'll have to pull a trigger on something.
Yeah, and I think you're in a really, like we said a little bit earlier, and it's a microcosm. In the big picture, it's a microcosm of exactly where you're at right now. Because even though you're sub 500, you don't really have a lot on top of you right now as far as the division goes. So if you do happen to hit a hot streak, you could put some real distance between yourself, and that pitching staff could. You just don't know when you got a set of pitchers that are that strong. You can easily rip off a 16-4 month, and all of a sudden things are looking pretty rosy. So, heading toward the trade deadline, I'm very interested to see what you cook up.
Yeah, I just got to not talk myself out of anything, but also not give up too much because that can also mess up your future too if you give up too much.
Alrighty, well, did you have anything else you wanted to chat about?
No, I think I pretty much embarrassed myself and covered it all.
Well, there you go. We'll have to come back and complete the total embarrassment with another episode sometime. So,
No problem.
Alrighty, well, thanks for your time today, and good luck.
Thanks. Same to you.
The Brewster Baseball Association is an out-of-the-park baseball league commissionered by Mr. America himself, Matt Rechtenwald, and competed in by an amazing group of outstanding general managers. Check us out at montybrewster.net. You have been listening to the GM's Corner, a podcast where we put BBA GMs on the hot seat. Music is Cool Piano by Tigerius and is used under Creative Commons Attribution License. See you next time. Until then, have fun, be safe, and always remember that even a boring team news is worth 2 points.